Yeah.
Let me connect what you just said about your
Yeah.
experiences, and let's go to reflecting on your panel performances and
Okay.
experiences. What what has been like your biggest issues with how those panels have gone and how you've performed and how you've been treated?
I feel one of my biggest issues is that when we have these conversations, there are too many people who feel their opinions are facts.
Mhm.
So we're asked our opinion on certain subjects, and then the person who feels that they are always right and just know for a fact what it is poses their point of view, and then
Mhm.
I will point out or I will pose my point of view, and if it's not in alignment with the person that thinks that that should be what their point of view should be correct, then I am being attacked. Then I start to be picked apart, and then when I try to explain, I'm being cut off, or there
Mhm.
are other people who want to come up and have a clippable moment and want to try to, berate me for my point of view. And it's all because I'm not in alignment or in agreement with everybody else. That has been my biggest issue. And what's crazy that's happening lately is that one person will say something and that will be that. I will come
Mhm.
back and say the same exact thing, and all of a sudden I am attacked. I'll give you an example.
Mm.
I'll give you an
Okay.
example. I was recently on a panel. The subject of police brutality in America came up. We were actually
Mhm.
talking about industries that you wouldn't recommend for people to date, men versus women.
Okay.
The women, for me, I just said sex workers. I think that would be a huge red flag. Da 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 da. There was another young lady that also said sex worker, but she said teachers and flight
Mhm.
attendants. She said police officers. And then I
Mhm.
said, I agree. Police officers, I agree.
Mhm.
Now, I
Mhm.
just told you, this young lady said it first.
Mhm.
But as soon as I said it and agreed with her, oh my God, we got to clip this. Jazz don't like the. I just agreed with
Yeah.
what homegirl said, and then it
Yeah,
turned into
yeah.
the spotlight on Jazz. Why Jazz
Mhm.
doesn't like the police? Then I got all these men coming at me.
Mhm.
You don't know what you're talking about, da, 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 but I'm throwing out the facts. Like, actually, this is, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? So
What was
it's
this on? Patty, or was this on
the last
another
ladies first panel I
lady
was
first
on
panel? Okay,
with Tim
Patty, yeah,
Taylor
yeah.
and the
Okay.
Untouchables. That and it happened twice on that panel. The other
Mhm.
one was there was another young lady. We were talking about if you do entertain certain people in industries, because they wanted me to flat out say, don't date this person, don't date that person. And I'm of the mindset, okay, if you meet a nice person and they have potential and they work in a certain industry where the environment can be a little tempting, like there's temptation everywhere. Like if you work in nightlife, if you work in as a bartender, if you're
Mhm.
a dancer, if you're an actor, an entertainer, you know what that could come with.
Yeah.
Assess the
Yeah.
situation first,
Mhm.
consider the risks, and allow that person you're dealing with to show you consistently that you're safe. I said
Mhm.
that first. Another young lady came up and was like, I don't know what you're talking about, Jazz, because everything is a risk analysis or a risk assessment. And I was
Yeah.
like, did I not just say that?
Yeah,
Did,
yeah, yeah.
did I not just say? So I'm
Yeah.
saying
So
all that to
you getting it from the men and the women on a lot of these
because there's
platforms.
this image of me now that everything that comes out of my mouth is crazy. But so they're not even
Mhm.
listening. You know what I mean? They're not
Mhm.
even listening. I've gone head to head with these major content creators that
Mhm.
have a lot of fans, and
Mhm.
it's almost like a cult like following. You can't go against them. And I came out the gate going against all of them. And
Yeah.
not intentionally because I hate them. I'm just against whatever that mindset at that particular time or that point of view was. So
Mhm.
even when I am in agreement, even when I could say exactly what somebody else said that people are okay with, if Jasmine is saying it, if Jazz is saying it, it's going to be
Mhm.
a problem. And I think that's
Mhm.
also frustrating. And that's why sometimes I'm just like, you know what? Y'all got it. It is
Mhm.
what it
Mhm.
is.
Nah, like I've observed that in different panels that you've appeared on. I definitely it's kind of weird when you go from like watching it like everybody else and then you're on it
Yeah, I
with
know.
somebody and then now we're doing an interview together and
I know.
it's like the version of who it is that I'm talking to right now is not that version of what you've experienced and kind of shown when people were like when it was like really contentious. Like it's like almost like a total 180. I don't get like me and you, we've had disagreements even now, and you're not like cussing me out, and I'm not like
I don't, but
calling you
that's,
out your name. It's like, but what it is like that's very interesting that like I think there's something about the panel dynamic
yeah,
where
absolutely.
multiple different people kind of coming at your perspective or your mindset or your views that kind of can trigger like
Yeah,
anything, anybody kind of thing.
absolutely. 1000%. Because I've
Mhm.
been on other panels where it's just like this with
Mhm.
other people, and we're all sharing our perspective. And it's like, oh, you
Mhm.
know what? I do understand that. I,
Mhm. Mhm.
I understand, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there are panels that are only designed for drama and
Mhm.
toxicity. They're
Yeah.
not
Yeah. In a
they're not
way.
looking
In a
to
way.
understand anything but their own point of view. And
Yeah.
people being in agreement with them is
Mhm.
what makes them money.
Mhm.
And if you
Have
come
you?
off,
Yeah.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Continue. Continue.
No, I was just saying, so when you come and challenge these type of people, you're going to become the villain. You're going to become the contrary and the anti person. People claim that I curse men out. Please, anybody in the audience, if you, Brother Jeff, find clips of me uh, going
It
off on
feels
men.
like you're cursing, but you're actually almost never
I'm
cursing.
not
It
cursing
it
anyone
may
out.
listen. It may feel the way the jazz when that mouth is going, it's almost no curse words. But I feel like people might feel like they've been cussed out when you're done with them.
I'm passionate, and I try to be logical in what
Uh
I'm saying,
okay.
and I also feel, if I may, there's
Mhm.
a certain um, archetype of femininity that men or just people in general
Yeah.
think that it should be amongst everyone, and not really understand what true femininity is. Femininity is on
Mhm.
a spectrum, and femininity is not always demure. There have
Mhm.
been kingdoms ran by the most feminine, murderous type of women. Do you understand what
Mhm.
I'm saying?
Mhm.
Femininity is power. It's not always, oh, hi, yes, oh my God, no. And because I'm like,
Mhm.
actually, I talk with my hands, I'm animated. So it's just
Mhm.
like, who is this girl? So I get it. I can come off passionate and aggressive, but listen to what I'm saying before you prejudge because you don't like my hand movements or you don't like my projection and tone.
Yeah. What's funny with what you just said is that was actually the very complaint that a lot of people had against a lot of men in the podcast space, where these men are saying focus less on my tone and more on my message,
Hmm.
and whether or not what I'm saying is true. Like Kevin Samuels is a great example of this, where it was like if 80% of what the dude was saying was fairly accurate about how most men or how men in general kind of operate, what they want, what they desire, and he's telling the truth, and how we judge women. Um, the complaints, the thousands and thousands of comments was always about his tone
And
and
deliver.
tone policing and the audience that gravitated towards him, men and women, was like, yeah, but are you hearing what he's saying?
Right.
And it seems like that benefit that we're willing to say should be attributed to men when they're talking in these spaces, that wasn't really something that's offered to you or other women like you.
Right. It's not. I get no grace. Either I'm quiet, and
Mhm,
even when I'm opening my mouth making sense, it's still a problem. But that's okay.
mhm,
'Cause this problem
mhm.
is today, guys. Don't you worry.